Back to our sols and transits. My name is Megan. Today we are talking to Aries rising, April 2026 horoscopes from the Thema Mundi. So Aries is the 10th house in the Thema Mundi, the midheaven, the most visible point in the world chart, a place of career and authority and public action. Mars rules here. In the Thema Mundi, Aries occupies the apex, not the beginning. So Aries rising people experience the self as a force of initiation in the public world. The wound that runs alongside this placement is the cost of that initiation and the isolation of always going first. Welcome back to Thresholds and Transits. My name is Megan. I'm an astrology student. I'm happy that you're here. As I learn things, I share them. So I'm here several times a week, and I'm happy that you're here. If you like how I work, I would love to work with you. My website is meganriley.eu. There are also links down in the description box below. You can go there and schedule a reading. I have donation-based readings since I'm a student and I want to do as many readings as possible. I also have some sliding fee readings. I have a membership available and intuitive readings. So all of those are on the website and or in the description box below. Okay. April is not a quiet month for your sign. Aries, Saturn, Neptune, and soon Mars are in Aries in your first house on your body. The self is under enormous pressure this month. So let's look at what that is. Saturn has been in Aries since May 2025. Neptune has been conjunct Saturn in Aries, the exact conjunction occurring in February and March of 2026, now separating but still active. Both of these planets are in your first house, the house of the body, the self, the ascendant. Saturn structures and limits, and Neptune dissolves. So when both are operating in the first house simultaneously, what happens is the structures of your identity, the self that you have built, the face that you show the world, the story of who you are, all lose clarity and the definition softens. So what felt solid now feels uncertain. You also have Chiron, 25 to 27 degrees this month in Aries in your first house. And this is the wound of visibility, of initiation, of going first. Chiron in the first for Aries rising is the wound in the body and the self. The cost of always being the one who starts things, who breaks the ground, who takes the heat for being first. Sun conjuncts Chiron mid-April. This wound surfaces with particular visibility. And then on April 12th, Mars ingresses. It is home. Mars is home. Your traditional ruler comes home to your first house. Mars in Aries is Mars in its domicile, strong, direct, forward moving. However, it is entering a house that already has Saturn limiting and Neptune dissolving. So Saturn and Neptune conjunct in late February, then the sun clearing through, coming through and illuminating all the cracks that happened. And now Mars and his red fire is coming through. So the drive and the clarity that Mars in Aries offers is meeting the resistance of Saturn and the mystical fog of Neptune simultaneously. On April 19th, Mars and Saturn reach their exact conjunction in Aries in your first house, less than half of a degree of orb. So your ruler and the planet of structure are meeting directly on your body. The drive meets the limit. This is the defining transit of the month for Aries rising. The question of what it costs to be the initiator. What has been the cost on your body, on your energy, on your time? What does it cost to go first, to carry that weight of beginning? Charlotte Perkins Gilman wrote in Her Land about a world that functions without requiring dominance. The question that she raises is not whether force is sometimes necessary, but what remains when you are not performing initiation? Who are you when you're not going first? And what is the self underneath all that motion? Saturn and Neptune in your first are holding that question this month. They're not asking you to stop. They're asking what you are when you do stop. And then across the chart, Jupiter is at 16 to 18 degrees this month in Cancer in your fourth house, a house of home and roots and private life. The greater benefic, expanding the interior. So what does private nourishment look like? What does the inner life feel like when the public facing fire is not performing? Jupiter in the fourth is the gift that arrives in the quiet, the expansion that happens in the domestic space, in the family, in the life that no one else sees. Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius is in your 11th house, stationing retrograde in late April. So the 11th house is the house of community and social networks and collective belonging. Pluto in the 11th has been transforming who you run with since 2024. And this retrograde is now turning inward. So which of your communities is built on honest terms? And which ones are built on who you support, who you were supposed to be, rather than who you really are? Juno is in Aquarius, is conjunct Pluto all month. I have to plug in my computer really quick. Again, I don't want to stop. Okay. Juno in Aquarius, conjunct Pluto in your 11th. The community agreement is under Plutonic pressure. The contract around collective belonging, what you have agreed to in your social networks, what you perform in order to maintain those networks, is being rewritten. Juno in the 11th is the demand for equality in the collective sphere. Then Black Moon Lilith, 11 to 15 degrees Sagittarius in your 9th house, the house of philosophy and belief and worldview. Lilith in the 9th is the worldview that was exiled for being too uncontained, too far-reaching, too non-conforming to what the institution required. So, what do you actually believe? Not what you were told to believe, not what you adopted as rebellion against what you were told, but what you have arrived at through your own experience of being. Then Uranus ingresses into Gemini on April 26th, entering your third house, the third house of communication and local world and language. This begins a 7-year disruption of how you speak and what you allow yourself to say. The communicative sphere is about to be revolutionized. It's always for the better, right? Uranus comes through and it is always for the better. Sometimes a little disruptive, but it's always good. And then we go to the goddesses. For the goddess asteroids, Venus in Pisces in your 12th house is the sacred flame in the hidden house, the devotion that no one sees. What does Aries rising keep holy in private? What sacred flame burns behind the public initiation? Sirius and Taurus in your second is nourishment through material resources. The body that initiates must also be materially sustained. And then Sirius in the second asks, what do you actually need just to keep going? Now I have questions for you this month. I'll put these in the description box so you don't have to focus on writing them down. First, Saturn, Neptune, and Mars are all in your first house, on your body. What is being dissolved in your sense of self? What structure of identity is Neptune fogging up and then Saturn testing? And what is the wound that Chiron keeps surfacing under the pressure? Second, Mars and Saturn, exact conjunction, lands on your body on April 19th. So what does it cost to be the initiator? What toll has it first taken on the body? And have you ever actually really looked at that toll? Third, Jupiter is in your fourth house. So what private nourishment are you allowing? What does the interior life look like when the public-facing fire is not performing? Fourth, Pluto is stationing in your 11th house. So which of your communities is built on honest terms? Which ones are built on who you thought you were supposed to be rather than who you are? And finally, Black Moon Lilith is in your 9th house. What do you really believe? Not rebellion, not inherited, What do you really believe? What are the beliefs that you arrived at through your own experience of being alive? That is your April horoscope, Aries rising. The world that does not require dominance does not ask you to prove your dominance first and then stop. It asks what you are when you're not performing initiation. That's the question Saturn and Neptune are holding in your first house this month. So you may notice it in your body, on your head, in your work, in yourself. I'll see you next time.